We got Charles Haycock at the studio. What's up, man?
Yeah, what's up, dude?
How you feeling?
I'm just chilling, man. I'm feeling kind of hazy for some reason.
Kind of
I
hazy?
had to wake up early.
The second hand already hit you walking in the apartment?
Oh my goodness, dude.
It was an early day for you, though?
Yeah, all these combinations of factors are culminating into my current mood. But yeah, and then I'm prepping after this. I'm gonna go help some buddies move,
Nice.
and so I get to carry some furniture and stuff.
Everybody
But-
loves that.
Oh yeah, you gotta love it, man. I mean, I just love. Actually, I just love when it's done.
Yes.
That feels really good.
That's a good factor.
It's like a prolonged, even more boring workout.
Yeah, seriously. Are you the guy with the big vehicle that everybody calls to move?
I got that medium-sized vehicle. I
Right.
got that like small chest of drawers vehicle.
Okay,
but I
okay.
have been asked here and there. But no, I'm not. I'm not like the go-to truck guy or anything.
My seats
But-
go all the way down, girl. Come on. Call me for that move. You know what I mean?
Hey man, yo, call me. I can move like 3 suitcases. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? If you need to go on a trip.
Well, it's good to have you up here, dude. Absolutely. Even though you're a little bit tired and stuff, I appreciate it because you've been going hard. I can definitely relate to that go 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 sort of mentality. And you just recorded your stand-up special, your record.
Yeah, the album, not the special. The special, I don't have like crane shots with cameras and
Fair
like
enough.
an 8-camera shoot, but I might do that next time. This time it was
Nice.
just the audio mostly, and that was the focus. But yeah, I finished doing that, and that was first time producing like I guess I sort of did some open mic shows in the past, but this is my first time doing like a real show as a
Right.
producer as well, which is always like kind of stressful doing the creative side and then also the business.
For sure. So what size venue is this?
It was a 90-seater at Grindstone Theatre, like
the
a
Grindstone.
non-for-profit
Nice.
comedy theater that opened maybe a year and a half ago or a year and a bit ago.
Yep. So you went in there and
Cool
were you
space.
actually miking the space yourself and putting things up, or how did you swing it?
Oh, I just hired this guy, Aaron Macri. He's like super pro sound engineer and musician and anything. That dude does a lot of things, but he just set everything up. And I think actually Grindstone bought the setup, and they have a permanent recording setup now for artists to use. Like,
Permanent.
yeah, it's
That's
sweet,
cool.
man. You just have
Wow.
to like show up, like get a buddy to do sound, put in an SD card, everything
Wow.
is set up. So, yeah, that venue really helps like comedians be able to do stuff affordably. And
This might be the birth of an idea right here now that new people have this information.
Yeah, man.
That's
I
super
mean,
cool.
You gotta. Yeah, it really helps a lot, and then Aaron. But yeah, it also helps. That's what I'm learning as this year I'm pushing to be more of a business entity as a
Mhm.
creative is gotta is that the word delegate or something? Is that the
Yeah.
word where you hand off tasks to other people?
For sure. Yeah. Manage your priorities.
Yeah, so not taking it all on yourself, which is what I'm used to, and which is why I think I started doing stand up because I didn't have to
Mm.
rely on other people.
One
It's
man
just like,
show.
well, man, I just show up. I don't have to worry about scheduling somebody else or, But anyways, now I'm learning the importance of that as well.
How many years you been doing stand up?
Well, probably like 6.
6 years.
Yeah.
Nice. I think
So-
that's a really nice time, especially, and I'll give you props. I feel like you're better than the average person at 6 years in stand up.
Thanks, man.
That's just my opinion. It's just the truth. So I think that the 6 year point for you is a really good point to start making those changes. So, like, and I know we talked a little bit about it before, and I'd be curious to dive deeper into it. What made you want to start saying, okay, I'm going to produce a record, I'm going to start promoting on social media and doing all these things in a different way?
Get that paper, kid.
That paper. I'm on a paper
Honestly.
chase. That's the truth, though. You wanted to monetize it?
Well, like you're saying, first of all, the 6 years thing is interesting because, I think 6 years for one person is different than another person because,
Right.
like, I went pretty hard for 6 years. Some people go in and out. The first year I was not as active, but still writing a lot. Um, but yeah, it still feels premature to me. Like I'm obviously not where I want to be at, and I obviously have lot more to, a lot more finesse to achieve. But yeah, mostly I just thought I should start putting stuff out, just to, because even if my jokes now aren't as good as my next album, they're good enough that there's value in putting it out.
Right.
And I am trying to make a living. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a return. So,
Right.
you gotta put in that effort, because as a comedian, you have to like look around what markets are available or what income platforms exist, and you have to like basically take advantage of any one of those you can, because there aren't that many. And also as a comedian, especially in Canada, and I think everywhere as the industry exists right now, like you have to be your own agent, your own marketing entity, and that's something I realized. Like if I want to get more gigs or better gigs or certain things, I have to make that like public push myself. So just starting to do that, and I guess take responsibility.
Yeah. That totally makes sense. So what would you say is the most difficult aspect of making that jump? Because I know we talked on the radio a little bit about how people are really last minute about confirming coming into shows. You were finding that with the promotion online, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's as far as running a show, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the culture in most cities, I'm sure, is people don't want to like make a plan a month in advance. And then like say it's basically that day, how do I feel, and do I want to go out, and if I want to go out, where am I going?
Right.
Like they'll make plans for Beyonce or something, but I'm not Beyonce, so people aren't gonna go out of their way. You have to be, I guess, hyper popular and exceptional for people to go out of their way for that far in advance. So I guess running a show, I mean, it was kind of stressful to me. Like my friend said, I don't know how many weeks out it was. I was at like 20 ticket sales, and I'm like, I need more than this for a show. And he said, no, I'll be fine. Like the last week is when you'll sell everything. Yeah. And it's like, but I don't want to wait till right before the show, because now I'm stressed, because what if it doesn't? Right. And then, but that is what happened.
It did.
Like basically a few people bought stuff. Mm-hmm. And then right at the end, the last like 3 days, it pandemonium. It filled up instantly. And then, yeah, it was, which I was grateful for that it filled up at all. And the last 2 days, I got to kind of chill. Right. Like, seriously. And then I just got to get ready to say the jokes. But yeah, as far as running a show and stuff, that was an interesting thing to learn. I mean, it's not something I'd want to have to deal with all the time, like big ups to any promoters and producers, but I don't think that's just something I do when absolute necessary. But as far as like other stuff, putting myself out there, and like the recording of an album and that technical side, even I enjoy, like, because to me that's part of the creative process, figuring out like how I want it to sound, and what, like working with the sound guy to get a certain type of quality or
you did editing too?
And he's doing the editing. I just give him input, like, because you can kind of decide, okay, I want, do I want my voice to come through like in the middle, and then the audience laughter is panned around the sides, or how do you want to mix it, like, and then what do you want the levels to be at? I find a lot of comedy albums, they make the audience so quiet, and then it kind of feels like it's recorded in a closet, and then laugh track was just put in there a little bit. Doesn't feel, whereas I'm trying to make it feel like you were there. That's cool. Kind of loud and maybe a bit not as clean, but to me that's what I like to listen to. And just figuring all that stuff out, the album stuff, I really like that. It's just, but the other business stuff, I made a website, I guess, squarespace.com. Nice. That's actually, I was thinking of the other day about do you feel like advertising works on you.
Like for my show,
No, I mean like in
or does it work
you
on me
consuming, like
as a consumer?
seeing a TV ad or a podcast ad. Does it ever work on you? Have you ever bought a thing because of that?
So rarely.
Yeah.
So rarely. Yeah. What do you think?
I think Squarespace is definitely one I can say they've worked on me.
I think it worked because I mean I've heard it spoken about by so many different. I mean here we are. You know, people are listening to it now.
I'm plugging it. They're not even paying me.
Well, and I think they're gonna start having to pay me here. I think we should.
I mean, hey, I should shout out Wix.com too, just to level it out. I'm sure they're fine.
Yeah, level the playing field, and they can battle it out. I think.
Yeah, but yeah, that was one where I'm like, yeah, I heard a guy advertise that, and then I bought the thing.
That's cool. So you have the website up now. Are you you're doing promotion on social media?
Yes, trying to be more active on there, I guess, and start posting like what shows I'm at on the website. And
yeah, you also get out there a lot too. You do a ton of comedy festivals, a ton of comedy shows on the road. What kind of traveling have you been doing of late?
Yeah, just like you're saying, road stuff. Grand Prairie was my most recent. Calgary this weekend, just like local Canadian clubs and bar shows and that sort of thing, casinos.
Mm-hmm.
Any gig that I can get my hands on. But yeah. Also some of the festivals I did too this year, Halifax and Winnipeg, which are kind of nice. It's like summer camp for comics.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
That's cool.
Because you get to hang out. You never get really like all those people in the same room in any other gig. Because other gigs, it's just you're with like an opener and there's one other person, right? So whereas there's like it's like 30, 40 different comedians. Yeah. It's kind of fun. But yeah, I guess that's part of doing the promotion and all that.
Is it typically like comics from all over the world at say the Halifax Fest, or is it from Canada mostly?
Yeah, a lot of Canada actually, and then some US.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's your favorite type of show to do right now?
I like the theater, little tiny. To me, my favorite has usually been the tiny black box theaters, like or larger theaters. But I have more experience in the small ones. Obviously, I don't do big ones that often because it's a different vibe. Like at a club, people are drinking and eating, and sitting in a table where they're not facing you directly. Whereas in a theater, each chair is pointed at you and there's no distractions. Right. So the level of attention is so much higher.
It goes up.
And it's a totally different timing and vibe. And I don't know how to play it that well yet. Like, it would be cool to get more experience in those venues.
In the bigger ones.
It's really fun. Well, no, the small ones too. Like, there's just most shows are like clubs or bars. So, I really like that direct attention. But clubs are still really fun as well. Like, and any room with just people that are packed out. But yeah, it's different energies. For me, the weird thing was like the flow is so different, and like the timing and it really changes like people's reaction speeds, or it's kind of strange. Yeah, it's just weird to have that many people listening to you, you know?
So intently.
Yeah, because when it's quiet, it's super quiet. Whereas at a club, it's never really. There's always someone talking about what they're gonna order, or like
it's a waitress,
or some buzz in the background. And
yeah,
it's weird to have that quiet. It's almost like it feels powerful. Yeah, like almost it feels. That's more of a trip than people laughing. Is like people being quiet, and not saying anything.
Right. That's actually would feel. I know what you mean. Like it's not an actual sound, but it feels more intense. Feels more of a strength.
It's like laser beam.
Right. That's crazy.
Kind of weird.
That's so crazy. Yeah, and I mean, I've got to see you. You know, speaking of the club environment, destroy the comic strip particularly many times. What's an environment like that like? Because there's a 300-seat club. There's multiple servers, multiple sections, and the people can get loud and rowdy. There's a late show. What types of experience was that like for you?
Yeah, that's usually. I mean, it's usually fun because people are very loose, especially when it's packed. Like people are very loose, and they in that club, and there's that culture of like showing up in groups.
Yeah.
Which is usually good because if when people are around friends, they're already in like this extroverted mood where they want to laugh. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's like a big bachelor party that intrude the show. But yeah, so that rowdiness is pretty fun until it gets to a certain place. But then it's just part of the job. Like sometimes it's kind of ridiculous. I feel like I'm babysitting like drunks who
Seriously.
are 3 times as old as me, but yeah, I don't know, that's part of the experience. But yeah, that club is super fun. I mean, that's like the best club in Canada, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like,
Incredible club. We
it's
love
hard
the
to
comic
complain.
strip.
Yeah, I mean, so there's other clubs that have more. I don't know, that one does have some crazy stories still though. I mean,
Some insane stories.
yeah, there's some.
I'm thinking of a couple
now
too
that
now.
I'm doing the Rolodex. Like
I'm also like filtering which ones can be told, and I'm not getting much. You know, I don't think I
Yeah.
can tell many of these.
yeah, I don't want to put the business in jeopardy. Like I don't want to.
But most of it's the
They've
wrongdoing of customers. you know.
Yes, definitely.
I would say yeah.
And then, yeah, man. Were you there? One time, Alonzo Bowden. I think I don't know what happened. Like some dude was so, like, some customer. I don't know if it was like two customers fought each other or something.
Really?
And there was like blood and like
Wow.
physical violence involved.
Yeah.
And Alonzo had he'd been there before so
Right.
many times that he knew what to do, which was just act cool like nothing happened. So he just played it cool, and like I'm pretty sure he made fun of whatever, because as an audience member you just heard sounds and some people's voices,
Right.
and like you saw a bunch of like dark figures
Yeah.
like huddle around this area.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, he just, like, made jokes about it and then went on with his act.
That's the
And
thing.
just-
Sometimes you can't tell there's a fight if you're in the crowd. You're just like, what's going on over there?
Yeah. That's kind of crazy. Like, how... And then afterwards, you hear about everything that happened. You're like, how did they cover that up so well?
It's true. It's like 20 people were being beat down.
Yeah,
and
there's
I
a
was
full-on
laughing.
brawl. Gunshots are fired, but... Alonzo Bowden killed so hard, he couldn't tell the difference
He's a
between
savage.
laughter and violence.
It's so funny. I think the craziest thing, I mean, it wasn't as violent, but the craziest thing I ever saw at the strip was Miss Pat live on stage. You ever see her?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's hilarious. I literally saw a couple laughing so hard at her set, and at one point in the show, they literally both fell out of their seats and like were trying to stand up, and they fell to the ground laughing. Like it was like somebody had poisoned them, and they were like collapsing under duress. It was just fucking. And I was like, I've never seen somebody laugh that hard. It was insane.
Man.
Those are good memories back then, man.
Because that's sweet if, like, as a comedian for Pat to be able to put someone in that state.
Hell yeah.
Because, like, you've been in that state.
Yeah.
Where, like, it's like 4 a.m. with your buddies, and for some reason you're in that mood and then you just can't even use your body.
Exactly.
Like, that's a level of funny that, yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, the ultimate goal as a stand-up. But, I mean, I can remember there was, like, a few times where I can vividly remember that happening to me, where I was, like, rolling on the floor. And we had this substitute teacher, and he was kind of a regular sub. And he would just... I don't know how that dude was employed. Like, he was teaching math or English or something, but he would never teach that. He would always have us sit in this circle, like, get rid of all the desks, and then put our chairs in a circle. And
What?
and then he would go off about the spirit realm.
Really? He was one of them.
Bro, it wasn't just like a religious kind of I don't know, type of ceremony he was trying to create. It was like he's talking about dwarves and elves, like mystical creatures.
That's
that
crazy.
he fully believed in. He believed in this like spirit realm that you can get in touch with,
What?
and then you can have conversations with these other entities, and they can help guide your life. And I'd always be asking him like all the questions because I just want to hear him keep talking about it. And then I would just die laughing, and some other people would be laughing, but I would be in a fit where I fell off my chair and I'm
ground.
rolling and I can't.
He
like,
mispatted you.
And then this is something he said to me. This was like the most mind-blowing thing is after I have this like fit that no one can get me out of for I don't know how long, and by the end of it you like lost so much oxygen you feel like you went through a marathon or something. And then he said oh man, there's always one of you. It's like every class he does, there's one of me.
There's one logical person in the class who thinks it's hilarious.
Now that I think back on it, that dude, like, if I can get to that level as a comedian that he was at in everyday life with every class he substituted.
That's insane, dude. Honestly. So do you think that, like, how long did this guy last? Oh, he was a substitute.
Bro, he subbed us. He was like a regular sub.
Oh, okay. So my theory, I mean, just from the outside, is that maybe people didn't realize how crazy he was because he was a sub and he would drop in and out.
Yeah, maybe that's how he flies under the radar because he doesn't have any real responsibility because by the time, they realize what's going on, he's gone. Like,
him and Jack Black have started a teaching academy and they're fucking taking over everybody's jobs with a bunch of nuts. Were you like the class clown in school?
No, man.
No?
Well, I had funny moments. Like, I was kind of socially, like, petrified and very shy. But then when I started doing drama class, which my older sister, like, signed me up for and forced me to do, then it was sort of like an excuse to be myself more. And then I had some funny moments for sure. But, yeah, I wasn't, like, full out. Sometimes I feel like there were certain classes where I had certain friends around me where I was feeling myself more and I was more funny.
Yeah,
like
more
when
outgoing.
that guy subbed in that class, like I wasn't that shy. Like I was poking all his buttons and I loved it. But drama class, I was more myself. But yeah, I wasn't. There were other people that kind of stole the attention.
So at what point did you really start to be interested in stand-up then?
Went to UBC College, university, I guess, for a year. And I was going to do film production, but I dropped out. And I didn't really think that if I was going to do film, I didn't think that would be the place I want to do it either. Not for that price tag, but...
Right.
And then I just spent like 6 months listening to podcasts and interviews and reading some books. And all my favorite... Like, I wanted to do writing, in particular comedy writing. And, like, everybody in whatever part of the industry, movies, TV, they all talked about stand-up, which at the time I didn't know. Like, my buddy introduced me in grade maybe 6 or 7 to Mitch Hedberg and Louis Black and Louis C.K., Stephen Wright, and, like, these comics who are still my favorite. And, I've been watching that stuff for a minute, but I didn't know that was a thing. Like, for some reason, I thought they just do that, and then...
And you couldn't, like, go learn
I didn't
how
know
to do
there
it.
was a show, like, in the city.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So then you discovered it.
So then, through these podcasts, they all just talk about, like, all this other stuff I do is fun, but stand-up is the best, and I'll always do stand-up. And to me, that's, like... To them, that was the number one. And I thought, well, I should try this if they say it's so great. Mm-hmm. And then, it was dope. So I just stuck to that. I just tried. I went to, like, the basement of this pizza place in Vancouver. And that's where I did my first open mic. And then right after that, I moved to Edmonton. So I basically started here. But, yeah.
So did you move for school, or was it just a move in general?
My parents moved to Lloydminster. I actually went there for a summer. And then my buddy has lived in Edmonton his whole life, my best friend, and I just came to visit him for a month. And then the good old Edmonton classic, like still in, like you didn't plan to stay here, and then,
Yeah.
but I'm still here.
Yeah, so that sounds definitely familiar to me.
And that's a slow. Isn't that like a company now? They're selling those shirts.
They should, I think. I feel like
Still in
Edmonton is a
Edmonton.
city that like it can suck you in a way. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
but it's not like I'm mad about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
You
it's,
know,
it's
like-
it's not a terrible place to be sucked into.
I kind of came here, and my friend got me a job, and I came here kind of for work. But then that's not why I stayed. Like I stayed because a lot of other things are dope too.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that makes sense.
Edmonton's is temptress.
So when you first went on stage, did you have a really good reception to your stand-up?
Man, it was all right.
Mhm.
Like definitely I got something. I didn't
Did pretty
kill.
good.
Like the third time I went up, after I edited out the stuff that didn't work as well, I did a lot better. At least at that show, that was my first show in Edmonton. I at
Yeah.
least had some of the comics laughing.
That's good.
And then even though the show itself was like a hard room, but so I got some motivation early on for sure. There's some I don't, like a lot of people talk about how critical that those first few shows are, because what if the first 3 shows you do just go so bad
Yeah,
that you're terrified to do it ever again?
seriously.
And I don't know if I would have had the like kind of self-belief
Mm-hmm.
to push through even if they went completely terribly.
Right. So at least they went good enough that you were
Yeah.
like, I'm getting some laughs. That I have the potential, and I could actually work on this and get more laughs. But if you would have just, gotten that silence that we talked about.
Man, if you would just, that silence later becomes so powerful
Right.
if you can control it,
Right.
or if it's on purpose.
If only you had the force.
If you
But you mentioned like the interesting thing that stood out to me about talking about the strip was you felt like babysitting a room full of people twice your age, and that's how I felt because
Yeah.
as a door guy, they're ejecting people, telling people to be
you're
quiet.
you're like directly baby. You're enforcing the babysitting laws.
Literally, yeah.
Like,
If you need
actually.
assistance, you call me. I'm like the SWAT team at
Yeah,
that venue.
you and 3 other 14-year-olds at the time.
Yeah,
Which
we'll
I
rough
always
them up
found
for
funny
sure.
that club, like other clubs, you see their bouncers, they're like grown ass men that work out, and then the
Yeah.
strip is these scrawny 15-year-olds.
If only I was scrawny. I was more on the pudgy side at that point in time. I remember those days.
Well,
But
which is better, man. You had some weight to throw around, unlike
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it would have protected me out on the floor. It's just hilarious, though, because I can relate to that situation. And it sort of makes me wonder, did you face any sort of bias from audiences because you appeared to be a younger guy?
No, I don't think so, man.
No?
Bias, yeah.
Because I feel like I've sort of experienced it with just myself personally, and that's why I asked, because when I was doing the show as a kid, or as a younger guy, even a younger teenager, I felt like people sort of wanted to make that my image and to be like, you're the teenage podcaster and stuff.
Well, I was gonna actually ask you about that. Now that, but yeah, for me, that was I guess that was a thing. It wasn't like negative, but it's not like people are meaning to brand you in a certain way. But there was this thing of, oh, he's good. Also, isn't it impressive how young he is?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
There's more of that.
and that disappears obviously. Like,
Right.
so I was gonna ask you about that. How do you feel now being an adult, like officially, and looking like one,
Mm-hmm.
and having been this like prodigy at a younger age? How do you feel now? Like the attention you get, has that changed? Like,
Yeah, well, interesting. It has, it's like it's one of those things where I feel like there was growing pains in the middle. I was literally that reporter kid. That was my channel before I really was serious with this stuff. And I mean, the attention has changed in a way, and it continues to change. That's also part of why I decided to like step it up and have like more of a setup like this, where it's like more clean, more proper, more clean cut. Because when you're younger, I feel like people let you get away with more.
yeah.
And
yeah,
if
yeah.
it's like, oh, he doesn't have that specific mic or this and that and the other
Yeah.
thing. But now it's like, it doesn't matter. So in that sense, I feel like my audience holds me to a higher standard. And also my new audience holds me to a higher standard. So it's pushed me to be better. That's how I see
that
it.
makes sense. Like you don't get that pass or that special kind of certificate of prodigy, but
Yeah.
it is good because like you're saying it now your worth is only how good you are.
Exactly.
Which
It's same with
is-
landing guests.
But that transition might be a bit of like a, because I went through that with doing yo-yoing, which I grew up doing from a younger age.
Mm-hmm.
But then for a while, it's like they'd be like, how long have you been doing this? I'd be like, I don't know, 2 years. And then they'd be like, oh, it's so amazing, and you're so young, and you do. And then like now that people are like, oh, how long you been doing that? I'm like 13 years, and they're like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly.
Like
That's the
yeah,
thing.
they're like, yeah, that's, you should be that. Like if you were less good, that would suck. Like,
yeah, that would be a concern at this
but
point.
also it's not impressive. Like of course, if you put 13 years in, anyways, and then I don't look as young,
Right.
and so there's a bit of that like maybe a small ego death where you have to like realize that now you're in the real world. You're not in this kind of I don't know what that is, because we're very youth obsessed.
Yeah.
So
It's
like
interesting.
there's this kind of heightened period in people's lives where that I don't think it's really helpful, like to encourage kids not based on how good they are necessarily, but then at the same time I get it, because it is impressive to see a young kid be good at something or like
Yeah.
do something at an early age. I don't know, man, but
It is. And I think part of it is seeing if they'll see it through, and seeing a lot of people want to see if they'll do it until they're 20 or something, and then kind of just stop caring, some of them. You know, so it's like I've encountered that too. I've seen people just turn around, but I think that's the beauty of it, is turning something from like a hobby into a career or into like a serious type of thing. And the people who want to watch that process, I think that's who the market really is for something.
that
like
long-term market.
Yeah.
And
that's what it's all about. And I think that long-term market is harder to build a following in, but the following that you build within it is so much more loyal and more meaningful. I think like one loyal follower like that is worth 3 or 4 non-loyal followers.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true, man. They'll support you, like, even if something happens or you go through a thing. But also, I think it's funny to only refer to, like, your audience as in these business terms, like my market.
In a market, you know.
You know, my target demographic. Like, never refer to them as human beings. I think that's
they're human beings to me. They're human beings, of course.
Listen, you have a name.
Hey, we're all numbers here, man. I don't know nothing. No, I'm just joking. No. No, it's
Support
true,
me
though.
on Patreon.
Yeah, literally. No, it's just like, it's one of those things where I do see there's definitely a change in audiences. You know, it's like, it's almost a weird thing. Like, I find that I can't promote. I used to be able to copy and paste my promotion on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Now I can't.
Huh.
If I post a promotion that I post on Instagram on Facebook the same way, it's going to lose 80% of the audience, because 80% of them are 40 and up.
Wow, wait. So different. So you're saying, like, okay, Facebook is older people.
For me, at least, yes, because I have a rock and roll, classic rock-based audience.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people were going to those concerts when they were my age, when the bands were in their prime.
Yeah.
So they're 50, 60, a lot of them, 40 and up. So it's interesting, like, watching, and that's why I refer to it as sort of a market, because I see the Instagram market is for, like, a younger demographic and, more like visual stories, things like that. But on Facebook, it doesn't work the same way. Yeah, so it's interesting. So I think that's a good factor for anybody when it goes to promoting online. It's like, you got to sort of think of who's looking at this.
Use your dad jokes on Facebook.
Yes, definitely.
Use some catchy hype images on Instagram.
More of the PG thing, man.
What did you say about Twitter?
Twitter, I find, is a nice middle ground.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Twitter is it's interesting because I can sort of make a hybrid of what I've made on Facebook and Instagram there.
That's funny.
Yeah, because the thing about Facebook is I feel like it's rooted in that family-oriented thing. It's like people have their family circles on there, so overall they're more restricted, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's interesting, man. But I mean, these are all things that, we all find out as we do this shit. It's just an uphill battle. But speaking of promotion, where are you doing your promotion right now? Your Instagram, your Twitter? What can you give us your handles?
Yeah, I mean, bro, I guess, yeah. I mean, CharlesHaycock.com.
Mm-hmm.
Got that website.
By our sponsors, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, Instagram, Charles Haycock. I guess it's all my name.
Nice.
Twitter, I honestly haven't used, but I do have an account. It's like at the Haycock, because it's a Charles Haycock took Twitter, but I was
Nice.
able to cop that domain name and the
Love it.
Instagram, but not the Twitter. And then Facebook, Charles Haycock. Yeah. But yeah, the promotion, man. That's why I'm starting to do that, and I'll release the album on eventually on like
Nice.
iTunes, Spotify, and all that stuff, and have links off the website and also YouTube, Charles Haycock.
Yeah.
I'll be posting there, although that's not. But that'll all be the website to me I like referencing that because everything's there.
That's cool. That's great. It's
That's
exciting.
That Squarespace engine.
That's right. You
Running
gotta
that CharlesHaycock.com.
running like a Ferrari straight down the highway. No, I love it, man. It's so funny. I have a guy offering my he owns Cassius Morris on Instagram. I have Cassius Morris _ and he's like $5,000. I'll give it to you for a special for $5,000. I'm like, what is that a sale? What the fuck are you charging other people?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Dang, man.
But it's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, my friend had a guy do that where I think his domain ran up or something, and he forgot to pay it, and then somebody else bought it, and they're like $10,000.
Oh, I hate that.
And then he was just like, yeah, whatever, man, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't need it that bad.
And then like 2 years later, he went back, and it was free again. Like the guy just gave up.
Hey, congratulations.
So he got it back for free.
I love that. I love that we ended on a high note. That's beautiful.
Oh, is this the end?
Yeah, this is the ending.
Sweet, man. Yeah, well, I guess that's sort of how it works. At the end, you plug the stuff. I should have known.
That's okay, man. No worries. Charles, I appreciate your time, man.
Hey,
This was
thanks,
a real
man.
pleasure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you.